So you've seen some photos on social media of astrophotography taken with phones and you just can't do it. In this video I'm going to show you 5 tips that's going to make you better at astrophotography with any mobile phone. Before we get into this though, there's going to be a code word somewhere in this video. I'll put it down the bottom right here. You need to comment that code word in the comments on this video for your chance to win all of the presets, including the Astro presets for Lightroom and Snapseed over there on shanemawson.com, and you can win them all for free just by commenting that word. I'll draw it within a week of launching this video and I'll get in contact with you. You can go and get them for free. The first one is computational photography. Astrophotography with a cell phone is not like DSLR photography at all. They're very, very different, and it's mainly down to computational photography. First up, let's talk about the Pixel, the Google Pixel camera with astrophotography. It's absolute nuts what this thing can do. The Google Pixel, if you're not aware, it takes a 4-minute long photo for astrophotography. You go put into the camera mode, put it onto a tripod. If it's dark enough, it's going to give you the option there for astrophotography. You hit that, wait a second, it'll give you 4 minutes and 6 seconds long exposure. But it's not really doing that. You see, what the Google Pixel does, it takes 16 photos that are 16 seconds long. You don't need to do anything. All you got to do is put it on a tripod, compose the photo, push a button, and it's going to do all this by itself with that computational photography. It's going to take 16 photos, 16 seconds long, and it's going to stack them on top of each other and line up all the stars and give you one image outputted. If you're shooting JPEG, if you're shooting RAW, it'll give you one of each, a JPEG and a RAW file. And the reason it does this, of course, is to eliminate digital noise that is brought on by higher ISO photography because it's so dark. So by taking multiple photos, lining up those stars, it gets rid of the digital noise for the most part, and it gives you a sensational photo. It's probably the best camera on the market today to do that sort of photography, astrophotography. Almost every Android phone is going to have a night mode of some sort. However, most Android phones also have a pro mode. And what I mean by pro mode, you can manipulate all the settings in that photo, such as the shutter speed, the ISO, the white balance, all of those things, and you can push it out to say 60 seconds, or you can push the ISO up to 3200, and you're going to get that galactic core in a photo. You can fine tune those things, bring the ISO down, bring the shutter speed down to eliminate the star trails, and you're going to end up with a pretty good photo. But using the night mode alone will also capture that galactic core. Maybe not as well, but it does it all by itself by pushing a button and letting it go. And you end up with a sensational photo. The expert RAW mode on the phones that actually have that, you can go into there, use the Astro mode. It's going to do very similar to what the Google Pixel does. Probably doesn't do it as well. Pixel's been doing it for a very long time. But it's certainly putting the toe in the water and getting some pretty good results. It's going to give you not only an option of 4 minutes, but 7 minutes and even 10 minutes. And 10 minutes for an astro photo that's going to stack all those photos up and line them all automatically, all by itself. That's just next level shit. That's fantastic. But there's something else also with the S23 Ultra that's coming about right now. You may have seen this little button up the top there in Expert RAW, and this is what it can do. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I'll be doing a tutorial video on just how I took this photo right here using that mode. What about the iPhone? The iPhone is different again. You can go into night mode on the iPhone. If it's dark enough, it's going to do it automatically. And handheld, you can move that slider all the way to the right, and it's going to give you a maximum of 10 seconds. But that's not really good enough. What you need to do is put it onto a tripod, because once you put it on a tripod, the iPhone is going to recognize it has stopped moving. And from 10 seconds, it's now going to give you 30 seconds. And what it does in this mode, in this particular situation, is better than any other phone that I've ever tested. Now, before all you Android guys and Google guys go, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, trust me, I do. I'm not talking about the stars. The iPhone isn't the best for that. I'm talking about the foreground subject, because the way that the iPhone takes its photos with computational night photography, it does 3 photos with an iPhone 14 Pro. It does 3 photos of 10 seconds each, and it stacks them on top of each other for focusing and for exposure. It doesn't line them up, so you're going to get a little bit of star trails, but what it does do is brings that focus of a foreground subject perfectly into focus when you light paint it, and no other phone does that as easily as the iPhone does it. It just doesn't. So number one is computational photography. Use that computational photography, get a tripod and use it to the maximum effect that that computational photography can do. Let's move on to number two. Before we go on to the next one, let's talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Flextail. Flextail make this little device called the Tiny Repel. You may have seen it on some videos, this little device. This one right here, and I hang it underneath the tripod that I record all of my videos on. It's a device that does three things. It repels mozzies and midgies, it acts as a power bank, and it's also a camp light. It's pretty bloody good. I've been testing it now for a while, and it's better than any other one that I've had. For the mozzie and midgie repellent, you put the cards, supplied cards, into these slots here. You turn it on, it heats the cards up, and it gives you about 30 feet around you free of midgies and mozzies. I haven't tested it to that sort of distance, but I do hang this underneath the tripod that I'm recording this on right now, and I don't get bitten by anything. Right now it's a little bit windy, so they're not around right now anyway. But at night, you guys know how hammered I get by bugs. But this thing, hanging under the tripod that I record my night videos on, I haven't been bitten by a mozzie in bloody ages. Once the cards are inserted into here, you double click this button here, and it will turn on. That's the lowest power setting that it's got. And it's going to give it, I'll use this, I guess, in a caravan, a tent, things like that. I don't use that for that. I hit it again, it turns it red, and that's when it heats up a lot and gives you more range of that repellent. The other thing, I'll turn that off, the other thing it'll do is the light will turn on with the right-hand side of it, keep on hitting it, it'll get brighter, and I find that I don't even use a head torch anymore. I just hang this underneath the tripod, shoot my videos, shoot the night sky photography that I do on this channel. Gives me enough light to get around the place without falling over, keeps the mozzies away, but the best part about this for photography, it's a power bank as well. On the side here is a USB-C cable. It doesn't come with cables that are going to go straight to your phone. You're going to need to get that yourself, or use the one that you've come with your phone. Plug it into this side, plug it into the phone, put your phone on your tripod, and Robert, your mother's brother, you've got a power bank there to do all night photography, star trails and things like that, all night without flattening your battery. The other thing, and you may have seen this in other videos, this base, it's magnetic. So at night time, you might see me in front of this shed right here. I'll sit it right there, turn it on, stand in front of it, and I'm backlit all of a sudden from a camp light. These retail for about $50 Freedom right now, and down the bottom in the description you can get a 15% discount by using my code that's listed down below there. Flextail Tiny Repel. I've used a few Flextail things. This one is no different. It's bloody good quality and it works really well. Let's get back to the video. Number two is light pollution, and light pollution is where you're really going to come unstuck the most with iPhone, Android, Google photography for astrophotography. Phones hate light. No other way to say it. You need to move away from the bright lights and get a dark sky photo. You can't do it without moving away from the light. And you really want to be in a sky that is a Bortle 4 or lower. So that's pretty bloody dark. That's away from any major cities. It's away from most country towns even. The way you find your Bortle location, and most viewers on this channel who are regular already know this, you're going to go to lightpollutionmap.info. It's a website. Type in where you are and it's going to bring you to that location in the world. And anything that's green, blue, or no color at all is going to be sufficiently dark to take that photo. As soon as you get into the yellows, the reds, the pinks, forget it. It's not going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. It's final, non-negotiable. You've got to move. Number three is shooting RAW. Most of these phones can shoot RAW at some level. Expert RAW, regular RAW, or Pro RAW from the iPhone. All of these things, pretty much all of the flagship phones that are out there can shoot RAW these days, even with the computational stuff that I'm talking about with night mode. By default, all these things are going to shoot in JPEGs, and we don't really want that because all these phones have their own sort of color palettes that they're going to put onto the photos. They're going to manipulate the way that they want to give you what they think is the best. And in 99% of cases with phone photography, that's fine, it's perfectly okay. But when it comes to long exposure things, especially with astrophotography, these phones don't know what the hell they're doing. We're really pushing these sensors beyond what they're really designed to do. So we need to edit these things the best way that we can, the way we need to start that with the best infrastructure, the best ground level support for that photo is shooting raw. Then it won't do too much manipulation in the colors and so forth. It's going to let you do what you want to do the way that you want to do it. Did I explain that very well? Probably not. Just trust me on this, you want to shoot raw. Number 4 is editing. We've just spoken about raw, shooting raw. You need to edit that photo. You can't just upload a photo to social media or wherever you want to do it as a raw file. You need to be able to edit this photo. I'm not going to talk too much about editing because that's absolutely a can of worms here, but there must be editing done, and it's going to be your own style in the way that you edit it that's going to make this photo yours. Because at the end of the day, most galactic core photos from a phone, from an iPhone, looks the same as most other iPhones. From a Galaxy, it looks the same as most of the Galaxy. And from the Pixels, it looks the same as all the other Pixel photos. The way you edit it, and the way you compose it, and the way you light paint it is what makes it yours. So the editing is absolutely a personal thing. We could sit here all day and talk about editing these sorts of photos. And I've done lots of videos, just check out the channel, of how to edit these sorts of photos. I will leave you with one little rule though. Less is more. Don't sit there trying to get every single bit of detail that you can out of the shadows in these things. It just doesn't work that well with phones. Haze is a big problem with phones, most phones, so it's not quite the same as editing a DSLR photo. Don't put a lot into it. Little slider movements in Lightroom, in Snapseed, in Luminar, whatever it is, just do little bits. You put too much into it, it looks like it comes out of Disney Pixar Studios or something like that. It doesn't look like a regular photo. So edit these photos, less is more. Number 5 is, well, this is a lonely genre of photography. You are usually out there on your own. In fact, I haven't seen a person here for ages. I'm in the middle of the bush, no one's out here. It's a lonely style of photography. So number 5 is to join a community and get feedback on these images. Capturing the galactic core on your phone for the very first time, it's just like sex. You always remember the first time you were able to do it. And the feeling that you got from it was a sense of achievement. Regardless of how old you were when you took that photo I'm talking about, you just remember it. You think you're just it in a bit, you've done a great job, but trust me, you were bad at it the very first time, just like the other thing. So how do we get better at it? You need to join a community. There's groups of there's Facebook groups all over the internet about mobile photography, and I'll be upfront and honest with you and tell you that most of them just suck. They're friggin' horrible, they're toxic as all shit, and it just makes you feel like crap. Don't go joining just anything, because most of them suck. There are 3 that I would recommend to you, highly recommend to you, for mobile photography. And all 3 of these groups have something in common. They've all got really good photographers. They are moderated really well, and the feedback that you get from the group when you ask for it is just second to none. Doesn't matter what phone you use, doesn't matter where you are, what sort of accent you have, it's irrelevant. These 3 groups are good groups, and they're going to help you grow your photography with phones. Number 1 is Shane Mostyn Mobile Photography Bloody Legends Facebook group. It's a sensational group. We've got about 2,500 members there. It's a very active community, lots of long exposure, lots of astrophotography in there, and lots of very talented, good communicating people there who will help you if you ask them for help. Number 2 is the Explorers of Life group. They've got about 2,000 members in there as well. It's a good active community, very good photography, all sorts of genres of mobile photography, but it's all mobile photography. Not just astrophotography, but all sorts of photography with phones. Very good group, good communicating there, well moderated, highly recommend it. Number 3 is an English group, the Mobile Only Photography group. That's a good sized group as well, good fun group, lots of jokes and stuff in there, photography jokes, some very talented photographers there as well. And they also have good communication as far as helping you get better in your photography journey. And that's because this style of photography is a pretty lonely venture. You don't know how good or how bad you are until you put it in front of other people. And that can be a little bit daunting. That's why I'm recommending these three groups. We get some pretty good photos, we get some sensational photos, and we get some pretty bloody horrible photos. And we're all helpful. We communicate with each other to help everyone get better with their mobile astrophotography. That's it for today, guys. I'll catch you later.